Hello! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mildly Gothic, and if you're new here, thanks for tuning in. What I like to do here is a lot of artistic, just crafting kind of things. Crochet, jewelry, painting, sculpting, baking, kind of anything. I consider myself a jack of all trades when it kind of comes to arts. Jack of all trades, but master of none. I don't know that there's any one that I'm super, particularly good at, but I like to try my hand at kind of whatever comes my way. So today is part 2 to a video that I posted 2 weeks ago about crochet. I was going to do 2 patterns today. I have been stubbornly working and trying to make 2 patterns for today's video. However, the yarn had other plans. One, I ran out of orange yarn, so I was having issues with pumpkins, and here's my he's still attached to attempt at trying to figure out a pumpkin that wasn't going to crumple under the weight of trying to squish it into the lights, and then also make it interesting when the lights are off. Because the thing that I like about the candy corn and the ghost patterns is you can tell what they are both when the lights are on and when the lights are off. It just kind of naturally allows the light to come through. So the pattern that we are going to be doing today, if you haven't guessed by the title and or thumbnail, is bats. I have little bats, and I designed them so they hang upside down. I love them. I think they're adorable. Bat earrings. And they don't show too much through as far as the lights, but they still have a structure and kind of a design to them, so I like them. The other one that I was going to do today was coffins. I did these in brown, and arguably these would work in a different color. Would they work in a different color? I'll mess around. I might do a video with these patterns, with this pattern, but these also fit on the light. The problem is when you turn the light on, it just kind of looks like a blob, and being brown doesn't really help it. So as much as these kind of look like something, I don't know where my edge of frame is now. As much as these kind of look like something when the lights are, the string lights are off and the main lights are on, when the string lights are turned on, they don't really look like anything, which kind of defeats the purpose of what this entire effort was. So for the time being, I have scrapped coffins and pumpkins because I want the light ideally to try to mess with or incorporate into the thing somehow if I can, like with the ghosts. Maybe it's their thing underneath. If you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe I'll remember to put an end card or a little card up so you can go find that video. With the bats, the light doesn't really interact with them, but I just think it's cute. And you can actually still see enough through the bat, but for the coffin, you can't really see enough through it, and for the pumpkin is kind of the same. So I want to maybe try to figure out how to turn the pumpkin into a jack-o'-lantern, or make the coffin a color that the light will actually show through it a little bit more, something like that. But regardless, so unless I keep rambling, this should be a little bit shorter video in comparison to some of my other ones, and I'm gonna be doing a little tutorial on how to make these little guys. So, also, I tried to theme my look. I tried to do a little bat wing eyeliner because I thought that was cute. I tried to do like a midnight blue graveyard, and I've got little crosses. I don't know how good it looks right now because all of my eyeshadow just decided it didn't want to blend today. And instead of fighting it, I gave up, and here we are. So, I was hoping to kind of thematically tie my look in. Whether that worked or not, it's fine. So, with all that said, enough of my rambling, and let's get to the pattern, how to make these little guys.
These guys are made up of a couple different pieces, and whenever that happens, I find that the projects take a lot longer. Especially like the triceratopses that I mentioned in the previous one. So, this video might be a little bit longer, but I'll try to speed through some of the duplicate parts. As you can see, there's going to be some duplicate stuff. And this is how I chose to make them. I think they're very cute. Again, it's kind of about a size, making sure that I get some of the little detail of like a scalloped wing. And so I'll show you how to make them. So we're gonna start with the wings, and so the wings are relatively straightforward. I like to start with the different components and have them all ready before I start the main piece that they will all attach to. I find it to me it seems like it speeds up the process. So for the wings, we're going to make a slip knot. Pretty straightforward. Again, you do not need a long tail on this. In fact, you will end up cutting it off completely. So you're going to pull that tight, and then so we are going to chain 8 stitches. And so you're going to take, this is my working yarn, and so I'm going to take it and just pull it through like that, and we're going to do this 8 times. Okay, and so once you have that, ooh, bump in the camera. So once you have that 8, you're going to turn around, and this gets a little difficult because you want to capture both of these loops. And so we're going to come into this stitch here because we need one to be able to turn over. So we're going to come into here, and we're going to get both loops, and we're going to single 7. So there's one, and so things start to get a little distorted, but we're going to pull up these 2 outside loops. And I realized I made a mistake. I said we're going to do 7. We are actually going to do 6 because we chained 1 extra than we actually needed as our base. So we have 7 working stitches total, and so we are going to single crochet 6, and we're going to avoid the very last stitch. And Domino is happily tearing at a frog toy if you hear rummaging sounds. And yes, I said frog. It is a frog dog toy, in case that got muddled. Okay, so you can see here we have technically reached the end, and we're not going to do another stitch even though there is technically one there, and so we ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches of the single. And so now we are going to chain 1, and here we are going to do what I know as a mini peacock. So if you notice in this stitch, there's this back thread here, and so you see the 2 loops on the outer side, and there's this back thread. You can pull this out a little bit. You want to go into this back loop, this back one, get all your little strands, and then we're going to pull the working yarn through that one, and then also straight through the other loop on the hook. And you do want to turn it because now we're going to be going this direction. And so once you have done that, our next stitch is here, and we're going to do 2 singles. So we're going to do 1, 2, and these are full singles. We're going through both loops that we have. 2, and you can see we have kind of a little bump there in the wing. And so after your 2, we're going to do another mini peacock, and so here we're going to just chain 1, and then we're going into this back loop and pulling it through both. And now we're just going to single 3 to the end of the row. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to finish. And this, I would actually recommend, this end, I would give yourself a good bit of a tail. This is the end that you will be using to stitch it into the body. And so you can see we have a little wing. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this, the point end, we're gonna pull that as tight as we can, and you wanna trim that off pretty close to where the wingtip is so you don't have any issue. So if you do it tight enough, you can actually kind of force a curve into the wing to some extent, but here's a little wing that has our 2 little tips. These guys are so small, that's why I didn't do another row to then come back. That just felt like it was going to be a lot, and plus I needed the tail to be on this side so that we can stitch it into the back. You will need 2 of these. The pattern does not change for right and left. It is completely identical. So go ahead and make yourself 2 of these, and I'll move on to the next piece. So the next part of our bat is the little ears. And these are super quick. These will take almost no time at all. So here's, they're super simple. I think it's like 4 or 5 stitches max. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a slip knot. And you do want a pretty good tail on this. Again, you need to be able to reach inside the body. So pull that tight, and you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, slipped on me there, 3, and then so again, how we were talking about the back loop on the mini peacock, we're gonna flip it over, and you see this back loop here kind of sticks up right after the knot. You're gonna take your hook, and we're gonna go right through that loop. So there's our knot, and we're right through the back loop. And we're going to do a single crochet into this stitch. So 1, 2. You see we've got a little triangle, and then you're just gonna loop it one more time and pull it through. So that's the ear. And so when we stitch it, we're gonna stitch it on the side of the head, and so it's going to stick up like a pointy little ear. Sometimes due to the holes it gets a little bent and they don't necessarily look as pointy, but all we really need is a general, idea. It gets hard when they're this size, because I mean they look big, but if you think about it, these guys are pretty small. So now we've got one, wow, I know where my frame is. Okay, one wing, one ear, the other wing. Where'd my ear go? Oh, there he is. My other ear. So they don't have to be even. Again, he's a bat, he's fine. So now we're gonna make the body, and then we're going to attach all of this to the body. So now onto the body. So the body for the bat starts very similar to how the ghost did, but a little bit different. So the bats are designed so that they're gonna hang upside down. The light's gonna go in through here. And so we're gonna be starting with this end, and we will be starting with another magic loop, but if you notice, this end does not have the hole. We're gonna be working this way. And it's a mostly cylinder shape, so I think there's only a few increases and a few decreases in this entire thing, because for the most part, he doesn't need a change in his body shape, he just needs to be a cylinder. So arguably, if you wanted, you could try to give it a little neck indent. I didn't. I think they're just fine in their little cylindrical shape. So we're starting with a magic loop. So we're going to take our yarn, and we're going to go over and secure. This is our tail. This is our working yarn. So we're going to take our crochet hook, and we're going to go under, grab our working yarn, and grab our working yarn one more time, and pull through. Thank you. Okay. So from this, around the loop, we're going to single crochet 5. Once you have that, what we're gonna do is we're again going to pull our tail and see which one of our loops goes in. Okay, so it's this one from this side, so we're gonna grab the other one and pull that nice and tight, and then pull our tail. So what we're going to do, make sure our tail's in the back, is we want to do back loop singles all the way around. And so what we're gonna do is we're going to go into our first stitch. So we've got this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So this is our first stitch right here. So we're going to go into the back loop of this one, just like we did for the ghost. And again, when you do a magic loop and you pull it all the way tight, these loops can get very difficult, so just be patient. So we're going to do a single and pull through. And again, we're going to do a back loop single for these 5 stitches. Okay, so you can see we've got a little dome. Yeah, we're just going to single crochet 5 around. And these are now full single crochets as we've made our dent. You want it to be loose, but you don't want it to be too loose. That was a little too loose in my opinion, so I'm just gonna go back and redo that stitch real quick. So it's a little bit tighter, and I've lost count, but that's fine. I think I've got 2 more. We're gonna go with that. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, and we're gonna do 1 more. Okay, so we've got our little, you can see our little narrow cylinder starting to take shape. I believe I'm gonna do 2 increases in the next row. It'll just make it a little bit easier to hold on to. So our pattern is going to be single, increase, 2 singles, an increase, and a single. So we're going to single crochet into our first one. We're going to do an increase in our next stitch. Okay, and this is the point where you gotta really watch out for that tail. So before we get too much further, this is where you're gonna wanna go ahead and get rid of this tail so that it's out of our way. These are not the best scissors. Okay, so at about this row or the next one is when you're gonna probably wanna start thinking about adding the ears. I know it seems early, but you just kind of won't be able to access it considering, again, we're making a cylinder. So our next row is just going to be a row of single 7s. And I think at that point is when I'm gonna add the ears. Considering this is the point where I'm starting to have real trouble getting my finger up inside of it, I'm gonna add the ears. So you just kind of want to pick 2 points and you want them to be on opposite sides of the head. And this is again where our friend the darning needle is gonna come in. We're going to string these. And I'm gonna go here, and you want to pull it a good little bit. It's always good to have a little bit of the nub of the ear sticking inside of the piece, or you know, whatever you are attaching, stick a little bit inside. It's gonna be more secure. Let's thread the other one. Okay, and this is what happens if you make your tail too short. You end up having issues doing this like I am. I'm gonna put that right there. This is why you make yourself a large circle. This bat does not want to be created today, is what I am learning. Okay, so there's one ear placed. I like to typically place most things before I sew them on. Like if it's eyes or something, I want to make sure that they're in good position with respect to each other so that I don't accidentally make him, or you know, whatever I'm creating, look all lopsided. Pull that in. Make our next one. And we're going to put that. Oh, maybe you should go. Okay, we're gonna turn you. I'm gonna put the ear here. It's very important to make sure you're not trying to put them through the same hole. You want them to be in different holes so that when you actually tie them, there's something that they are being tied around that will hold and secure them to the piece. So he looks a little wonky right now, but can you see our bat starting to take shape? And so now we get to deal with this eldritch nonsense. To be honest, it really doesn't matter what gets tied to what, it just has to get tied to something. So go ahead, give each strand a good tug, make sure that those are secured. And it doesn't really have to get tied super far in there. Again, you just need a knot. I always double knot these. It just has to exist on the inside somewhere in a way that it will not come off. So we're gonna do the next one. Give it a nice pull. And you want to be careful when doing this because you can actually break the yarn, and I've done it before. It's quite disappointing. So don't do that, then you got to make a new one and that's no fun. So tie that off. Okay. Our bat now has ears. And so now there is I think I'm probably going to make this the front. I think this is the better looking angle. It doesn't really matter. We don't have that much more to go, so you can kind of see where we are. So our next one, we're going to do another row of 7. Keep it going. So pretty much how before we increased 2, we're now in this row going to have 2 invisible decreases. So our first stitch, we're going to do same pattern, single, invisible decrease, single 2, invisible decrease, single. So into our first one, we're going to do a single. And then an invisible decrease is going to be under the front 2 loops. So notice we are ignoring the back loop, we're only taking the front one. So we've got 3 strands on our hook. Going to grab our working yarn, pull it through those first 2 loops, avoiding our third, and we're going to pull the working yarn through both of those. And just like that, we have a body. So we're going to finish that off there. And we're just gonna pull that tight. So now there is still an opening there. And you want it to be relatively tight so that it actually will stay on the light. So if we have a light, you see we're gonna have no problem. So what's next? So decide which side you want to be your front again. I think I said I like this side more. And you can see we tried to give him a nice little shape to him. So we're going to take our wings. And so if this is the front, then I want to work on the other side. This is the back. We're going to take our 2 wings, and you're going to pick one to start with. And so what you're going to do is you're going to thread the tail from your wing, and you're going to figure out where you want it on the body. And you're going to approach with your needle coming up towards the head. And so I'm going to start at this stitch, and I'm going to point my needle upwards, and you're going to pull it through. And so from here, we're stitching this wing to the body. And so it doesn't necessarily matter how you do it, but you're just going to take your stitches here on the body. You want to make sure you're not going all the way through. We still want it to be a pocket. And you're going to take and go through both the body and the wing, and then you're going to loop around. We're going to go through the body and the wing, and you want to do this a couple times. These are not very big, but you want to try to move down the length of the wing as you go. I don't want to get too far away from the end, otherwise it'll look weird. Once you've made a couple of those, I'm going to do this again so that I can tie it off. And that's going to be the last thing you want to do, is you're going to want to make a knot and cut this as close to the wing as you can. And so now you can see we have a wing attached. And so we're going to do the exact same thing with this other wing. And so then from the front, we've got a bat. So I love these guys. I think they're super cute, super simple. These guys take a little while, mostly because of the assembly, and then some of the pieces take a little bit of finagling. But he's got a lot of personality and character, and as you saw, fits onto the light quite well. So there's how you make a bat.
Ta-da! So I think they're really cute. I really like them. You can see, you know, kind of what they are. They've got their little wings. They're supposed to, you know, hang upside down, but if the light strand is twisted, then they'll do that. I apologize for not including 2 patterns in this one. Maybe one pattern was easier. I hope it was easy to follow along with. I've enjoyed all of the crochet videos that I've done so far. They're different. They're kind of cute. They're kind of fun because it's not just me making something. It's me making something with the intent of hopefully coherently telling you how to make it. So if you enjoyed, I guess, this little DIY light strand, there are 2 more patterns I have planned. One at least I think is going to go very well. I have plans for a skull. I have high hopes for at least that one. I don't know about the other pattern. So I can at least promise 1 more pattern in this series. I may continue it. This is kind of fun. It's something I can kind of do off in the side, in the background. So if there is any interest, I'll continue kind of making these little random crochet things with an explicit purpose of putting them on this. I'm not making these to really do anything else with them. So I apologize if this is messing up the lighting in this video. I think it's fun. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, you can go ahead and give it a like. If you made it along this, wow. If you made it this far in the video, you might as well hit the subscribe button. You seem to like listening to my rambles about nothing. I appreciate you guys very much for watching. If you want, I should shout out this more. I have an Instagram where I post a lot of my special effects looks. I try to post about every video, so if you happen to miss a notification, I'll post about it over there. Yeah, so if you're interested, you can go subscribe to me here, follow me over there, do whatever you like. I don't have any control over what you do or don't do. So if you enjoyed my corner of the internet, I appreciate it very much, and I hope that I will see you in the next one. Bye.